Well, hello. This is my second day beginning in Yosemite National Park. My first time in Yosemite. Despite having lived in California all my life, this is the very first time. It's about 3.5, 4-hour drive from San Francisco. Made it in pretty good time yesterday, but I left a lot later than I wanted to. So I got in to the valley about 2:30, and this being December, the winter season, the sunsets are very early. It starts to get dark around 4 o'clock. Golden hour starts at 4. And I didn't take any video yesterday because I really wanted to maximize my time shooting still photography. Get as many pictures as I could, especially because I wasn't familiar with the area. I didn't know what I was going to be doing in advance. And I got some good shots. At the end of the night, on my way out, I was going on Highway 41 south. I was staying in Wawona County. And I got a really good shot, actually, of Yosemite Valley from tunnel view in pitch black. No lights at all except for the occasional passing car. And that was really my first time doing a night shot in those kind of conditions, where it was just completely black out in the wilderness. There were some other photographers there, even at that late evening on a Tuesday night in December. Ended up with a really nice shot on my third try. I was stopped actually way down, probably more than I should have been for such a shot, given that everything was at a really far distance. I think the final shot I did was at f8. Ended up being a 15-minute exposure, plus the low shutter speed noise reduction, which doubles the time, so it was 30 minutes to process the full shot. But once I got that into Lightroom and played with it a bit, I was actually really happy with what I was able to get out of that. And now I'm just letting the car warm up, defrost the windows a bit, and I'm going to head up through the windy roads of Wawona County, another 40 minutes back, and I'm going to try to get to tunnel view again. So I better stop talking now and get a move on so I can get there in time for the good light. It's about 7:40. Got another 10 minutes of golden hour, so I've stopped at Cook's Meadow, which is between the lodge and the visitor center, which is supposedly a good spot to get Yosemite Falls in the morning light, and a great view of Half Dome from here, but the sun's behind it. Might make for an interesting picture. And even really this meadow looks pretty cool at this time. So I'm going to see what I can get from here. Let's take some pictures. Okay, I found a good spot of the falls. It took me a minute to find it. It was much closer to me than I realized. I was looking over towards El Capitan behind me, but actually I parked right under it over there. So this is the angle I got. It's pretty nice. The upper falls is lit up by the morning sun, and lower falls is obscured behind a tree, but I did a vertical shot actually of with my 50mm lens. I also really like this tree here on my right, so I think I might do a few shots of this with the falls as a backdrop, or possibly from another direction. But it's just this one tree right in the middle of this area. It's really frosty here on the ground. You can see my shoes have gotten a bit of frost from walking through this field here. I just got really lucky. Right as the golden hour was about to end, I just noticed a rainbow appear at the base of the upper falls. It was only visible for probably not even 5 minutes, and wasn't even able to get all the shots of it I wanted. I did a few at 50mm, and I switched to my 55 to 250 lens, zoomed in a bit, got a few shots, but then it started to disappear before I could get a real close-up on the area with the rainbow. So I'm not sure how visible it's going to be, but I think I caught at least a couple of shots that had the rainbow in it. I can't believe I saw that for such a short period of time. I'd read that you could see rainbows at certain points, but I got really lucky to have not particularly planned for that and happened to be here right as it happened, just for those few minutes. I should tell you more about what I did yesterday. When I first arrived, I stopped at the end of the part that you can drive to, and I took a walk further east under Half Dome and stopped at Mirror Lake, which is pretty much right under Half Dome. I got there right as golden hour started, so it was really good timing. couldn't have planned that better. And I got some really nice pictures of Mirror Lake with mountains to the east. There's really not a good vantage point of Half Dome from Mirror Lake because you're right under it, so you can get some really sort of skewed views if you want to try to get it all in frame. It would have to be a pretty wide angle, and it would be just looking straight up the cliff's edge. But I got some good photos of the mountain farther to the east and its reflection in Mirror Lake. I was pretty happy with that. And then on the way back, I took some sort of low light shots into twilight and the blue hour. There's this beautiful creek that runs along the path with all these little tiny waterfalls as the elevation changes, rocks all over the place. So I got really some pretty good shots in low light of the creek and those little waterfalls. I was pretty pleased with how they turned out. And the light faded pretty quickly after I took those shots of the creek. So I walked back in the dark, just my phone to illuminate the yellow line in the road to see where I was going, and then headed out to the tunnel view where I took those night shots. I'm taking the trail to lower Yosemite Falls to get a little closer to the lower falls. And on the way there, I found this open area with a bunch of rocks and trees and a few fallen logs. A lot of rocks that seem to be maybe arranged by a person. Especially over here, I found on this log. I think they're called cairns, these piles of rocks. You can see behind me. I think it'll make for a pretty good shot. Let's try it. Well, I made it to the base of lower Yosemite Falls, and it is quite beautiful. The light's actually pretty good. I took a few exposure bracketed shots, but I'm not sure I really needed to. There's a little bit of rainbow in the middle, and I think this shot will come out pretty well. It's now about noon, and I'm in what I think is El Capitan Meadow. This clearing is pretty cool. I feel like I should be able to get some good shots of maybe some of these stumps or burned out areas or this tree here. And I'll see if I can get in a good position to get a shot of El Capitan or some of the rock behind me. Although I'm not sure how well I can because I'm pretty close to it, so it'll be looking up at a pretty steep angle. We'll see how it goes. Now I'm on the south side of the loop that goes around the main valley. And this is the Bridal Veil Fall Vista Point. So this is closer to the base of the falls than where I was in the El Capitan Meadow on the north side earlier. So we'll see what this gives us. There are a lot of people climbing on the rocks at the base of Bridal Veil Falls, so I had to wait quite a long time for all of them to climb down so that I could take a picture without getting them in the shot. But in the end, I'm pretty happy with what I got. Well, I think this is going to be the last stop of my Yosemite trip. It's now evening golden hour. Things are looking pretty nice. About halfway through golden hour, I stopped again at Tunnel View to do the classic famous shot at the beginning of golden hour. It seemed to come out pretty well. There was some not great shadows on El Capitan, but to make up for that, the moon was visible. The moon appeared kind of on the right side of the frame, and I got a few different shots with the moon in frame. One in particular where it was right in the middle of two sections of cloud, just against a blue sky, and I think that will probably be the keeper. So I just spotted some people in a good spot who are shooting from sort of near the chapel, and I'm gonna follow their lead and shoot from the same spot. probably a telephoto shot of Half Dome. It's all lit up orange right now. Hope it comes out well. That's a wrap on my Yosemite National Park trip. First time here, I had a pretty good time. Definitely at least one good picture from each location I was at. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you next time.